It is Thursday, October 30th, 2025. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. Thank you for being part of this weather community. All eyes still on Melissa as it makes its final move. It's now out of the Bahamas. Still some gusty winds. We have that. I'm going to zoom down for us in the Bahamas. I was trying to be very specific island by island yesterday. This is working its way toward Bermuda and then the Atlantic region of Canada. And it did strengthen a little bit. Conditions were a touch more conducive for some development as it pulled out of the Bahamas. I've been seeing some strengthening. It may strengthen a little bit more briefly as it moves closer to Bermuda. And I want to zoom down into Bermuda. We track storms start to finish, and that's what we'll do. But you can see the core of this a little better organized right in through here. Winds right now at 105 miles per hour, so that's about 165 kilometers an hour. Moving to the north-northeast at 33 kilometers an hour, or about 21 miles per hour. Pressure about 965. The center of this should be eventually just to the west in the north of Bermuda, but it's going to be close. So I'll zoom down. I want to show you some of the winds on that. But it has left, for the most part, again, the Bahamas, still the tail end of that, some of that rain. You see it here. You get these feeder bands that stretch way, way down back still near Jacmel as we get into the southern peninsula of Haiti. That has been hit so hard, of course, along with Jamaica. I'll put some additional links in the comments of some reputable charities that you can maybe help out with. Of course, I encourage everyone to research beforehand. We don't need anything getting in the wrong hands. The Dominican Republic, south side, again, watching out for some of the heavier rain that we're seeing. So this has been an incredibly long-lasting and just devastating system. I don't need to tell you. You may have seen a lot of the scenes as well. Still trying to get in touch with some folks in Jamaica. Communication is cut off. I was in touch with one friend finally yesterday in the Montego Bay area. He's been stuck in his home with his family because not only some of the damage to his home, but the trees, and he said that really the power lines around, they can't go anywhere. And the message he sent me, he didn't even know if it was getting out, but we were able to converse. Still waiting to hear from several people in Jamaica, of course. Devastation, especially back toward St. Elizabeth and elsewhere, western and central sections of Jamaica in particular. A new tropical wave is moving in. Now, I don't like to talk about other entities, but I've seen other stuff out there. The next one or something else to watch, something like that. And we've just gone through one of the worst hurricanes ever. And with that said, this is a tropical wave moving in. I see additional rain. I don't see additional development out of it, right? So this is not a clickbait channel. I know some others are, and I'm not calling anyone out, but that's almost heartbreaking to see other entities trying to take advantage of the kind of a back end of what we had with what we were seeing with Melissa. So it's just horrible to see out there. I'm not seeing any development. There could be down the road, right? So at some point, still the hurricane season, but not seeing anything right now. And I'll show you that in this video. That is so very important to pass along to our friends that have been hit so hard with this system. Now here, I want to zoom down. This is tonight. So this is about 11 p.m. tonight, give or take an hour or two for Bermuda. Here we are in Bermuda. The center should be just off toward the west, and then lifting up toward the Atlantic region of Canada. Now, since it is better organized, I believe we're going to get some of those stronger gusts as expected. So we're looking at some of the gusts, mainly this red shading in here, where we've had, we will have some gust or maybe even sustained winds for a brief period of time of about 70 miles per hour. If this nudges a little bit closer, there's that yellow shading, right, in Bermuda. So this just nudges a bit closer, and we'll see throughout the day, winds could gust or be at least close to 90 miles per hour for a brief period of time. Bermuda, I've been going back and forth with you in the comments, of course. You're ready. This has been well advertised. The core should be to the northwest, but we will get some of those higher gusts, 70 miles per hour as we work our way into tonight. So hurricane warning is up for good reason. Watching that as this quickly lifts to the north. It's getting caught up in another system. That helps it accelerate. This will be, as expected, very close to the Avalon Peninsula as we work our way into tomorrow night. So I want to highlight that as well for the Atlantic region of Canada. With that, Bermuda, we're still in action mode. We're doing all that stuff because we are going to have those strong gusts working in late today into very early tomorrow with those winds of about 70 miles per hour, 113 kilometers an hour. And of course, the high and danger seas come with that. Here's Bermuda. The heaviest should be just off to the north and west. And then as this lifts up toward the Atlantic region of Canada and Newfoundland, in particular, the Avalon Peninsula, it is going to be in different form, right? It's not as strong as what happened down to the south, of course, and it is going to start to lose its tropical characteristics. With that, it's going to be a pretty big wind maker as that moves in, all on target from what we've been talking about. So this will be weakening. We'll see that weakening trend with this, going from about a category 2 and then losing its tropical characteristics as we go out in time. Now, the water temperatures in the wake, in the aftermath of Melissa have cooled. Look at this blue shading in here because Melissa was so slow. It did eventually cool down the waters. This is a 7-day water temperature change. There's the 7-day water temperature change, and you can see in here this blue shading. So it did cool the water. The water, though, was so very warm to begin with, and that was one of the big issues that we've talked about with Melissa, that they're still running warm, right around 29 degrees Celsius. But in this same pocket, before Melissa, was running at about 30 to about 31. So it's still warm in the Caribbean. Parts of the Gulf still warm, of course, closer to the coastline and northern sections are cooler. So the water temperatures did drop some, but they're still relatively warm for this time of year. Now, I want to zoom closer to certain locations, zoom out, show you the broad picture. Here is that tropical wave that is going to be moving in for us in the Eastern Caribbean, not organizing, and then watching still these bands of these feeder bands back into Melissa. There's the heavier rain parts of Costa Rica and Panama. So Jamaica, back through Cuba, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic, and parts of the Bahamas, still some spotty showers over the next few days with that chance of some of the downpours. And you see the rain through here. But here's that new tropical wave sliding in, no development with it. And you can see some of the additional rain. We'll be watching that Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, Barbados. We're going to see that rain chance picking up over the next couple of days. Then by the time we get into Saturday, that tropical wave moves in. Rain chance could be a little bit higher, say back toward Puerto Rico, and then a front up to the north with Melissa way up to the north. That'll help kind of pull some extra moisture around. So parts of the Bahamas, you see that Saturday and Sunday, down through Cuba, even the Cayman Islands, a better chance of some rain. And we'll be seeing that as well. Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Panama right in through here. Also additional rain close to Haiti. It won't be a constant rain, but that rain chance is going to pick up again. The rivers are incredibly dangerous across Haiti and parts of the Dominican Republic. And this will just add to that, keeping those rivers at least on the extreme side where it does cut off communities where certain communities just you can't cross, or you can't get to your well water location as well. So certain communities have been cut off, especially across the peninsula of Haiti. Now, here's the broad picture to show you. We zoomed down to Bermuda before. Here, right here, this is Melissa. It's getting tied into the system, rolling back through the mid-Atlantic of the U.S. and moving into New England with some heavier rain. You see this system here that approaches New Brunswick. There it is for tonight, very close to Bermuda, watching the core of this right in through here. That's why I zoomed down to show you the potential of winds 70, maybe a little bit higher for some of the gusts. As this system lifts up toward New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, it pulls in this and kind of lifts it up to the north. So it's almost two systems, additional rain. There's going to be a lot of rain, say back toward Prince Edward Island. That's not with Melissa. This is the Melissa part. So we've got one system here. There's Melissa getting tied in. Here's the Avalon Peninsula. This is late on Friday, so into tomorrow afternoon. And then as we work our way into tomorrow night, this scrapes across. We're going to have a significant wind maker, especially closer to the coast, south and east across Newfoundland, watching out for some of the heavier weather. It loses its tropical characteristics, but there's going to be gusty winds as that continues to work in, and then eventually that pushes away. But you see just that moisture left over in parts of the Bahamas, and then we swing back here, another system trying to roll by, and we have another one moving in toward British Columbia, back toward the northwest of the United States. So we'll watch those as well. Now, watching the winds, I zoomed down and stopped it earlier in this video, and you could slide back and put a stop on that if you need to see that for Bermuda. Here's Bermuda right here. Here is what's left of Melissa. It could strengthen just a little bit more as it gets closer as we work our way into tonight. Kilometers an hour and miles per hour on your screen. And you can see there, this is by tonight, by 11 o'clock, we get that flow coming in out of the south. Strongest wind should be coming out of the south and south-southwest later this evening and tonight for Bermuda. And then we have this next system that's pulling up toward New England, over toward New Brunswick, and that'll grab this and that'll lift this up to the north. So as we work our way through the day on Friday, you could already see the gusty winds because we're dealing with two systems where the winds in the Atlantic region of Canada, especially along the coast, will be around 80 kilometers an hour, 50 miles per hour. But by the time we get into tomorrow night, you see that red shading, heads up, giving you the early heads up. I've been doing it for a few days now. Avalon Peninsula, we could have some of the winds that are going to be gusty, upwards of 110 kilometers an hour or 70 miles per hour. Has stayed on track, so I'll be watching out for your comments over the next couple of days. But heaviest weather late tomorrow into early Saturday over toward Newfoundland as Melissa makes its final move and loses its characteristics. Now the seas, of course, are going to be super, super high. Swell starting to move out as this continues to work its way out of the central and southern Bahamas, which it has, lifts its way up toward Bermuda. This is by the time we get into tomorrow. Dangerous seas. We know that across much of the Atlantic, swinging up toward the Atlantic region of Canada. Atlantic passageways in the Eastern Caribbean, they are going to get a little bit bumpier for us. That's because of that tropical wave that will be sliding in through the weekend. And then through the weekend, we'll be watching these pockets of rain that are going to be more numerous, and we'll monitor for some additional flooding together. So there's the rain. This here all leaving. This is going to sweep its way up to the north as we look at some of those rain totals around with Melissa. But on the far reaches of it, here we are in Jamaica, Cuba, Haiti, and you see these pockets of purple showing up. We could get an additional 50 to 75 millimeters of rain. We obviously don't need any, so that just adds to it. Giving you the heads up on that certain pockets are still going to get some scattered areas of rain. Melissa's gone, but just that moisture feed kind of coming in from the south does give us additional rain. Now the tropical wave is going to start to work in, not as much in Anguilla, St. Martin, and St. Bart's, for example. St. Kitts and Nevis could get a couple of showers. If you do get showers in this sector, we're looking at about 50 millimeters of rain on kind of the high end. The high end should be less. It should be more in the way of passing showers, but anywhere from Dominica south through Trinidad and Tobago, that's where we could see a few spots as this tropical wave moves in of about 50 to 75 millimeters of rain or 2 to 3 inches of rain. Rain chance goes up a little bit northern Guyana. We've been watching Venezuela, mainly interior and western sections. That's where the rain chance has been high. But a heads up, as I was circling earlier, parts of Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, we will have some totals for 3-day totals over 100 millimeters of rain. Not all of us get it, but we're going to get those big pockets of flooding, then scattered about. The moisture through the weekend builds back toward Honduras. We'll see how close that gets to Belize, Guatemala, Pacific, over toward the Pacific, right along the water, better chance of rain, spotty showers, El Salvador, Mexico City, Yucatan, back through Mexico proper, not as much in the way of rain. And then we'll see that next system sweeping by. So as you get over toward East Texas, swinging back toward Louisiana, and then up toward the north Mississippi River Valley, we'll see a chance of an inch or two of rain as the next system this weekend starts to work by. So Jamaica, we have a 40% chance of some scattered showers today, and then even through the weekend, it's going to stay kind of active with that chance of some scattered showers around. Not all day, not that sort of thing, but we will see those scattered showers. And the Cayman Islands, we're looking at the rain chance bumping up Friday through the weekend as well. Could be a little higher by the time we get into Sunday. Rain chance will be going up. Trinidad and Tobago, you see Friday into Saturday, rain chance higher. A 60% chance tomorrow in Barbados as that tropical wave will be moving in. 30% chance today in St. Lucia, up to a 50% chance tomorrow. And you see how it builds in Grenada. Rain chance by Saturday at 50%. A 50% chance tomorrow and Saturday, St. Vincent the Grenadines as that tropical wave moves in. Martinique, a 60% chance for tomorrow. Not all day, but a better chance of rain. We do that again in Dominica, and a 50% chance by Saturday. We swing to the north, same thing in Guadeloupe. Not a lot today, but the rain chance about 50 to 60% for tomorrow. Antigua, Bermuda, it does bump up a little bit. More of the moisture is just down to the south, but we are going to see a better chance of spotty showers. St. Kitts and Nevis and Montserrat, rain chance running at about 50% for tomorrow. A 40% chance tomorrow and Saturday, Anguilla and St. Bart's, and a 40% chance Friday and Saturday as well. St. Martin, Save and Statia, at least some passing showers will be a potential. Puerto Rico, rain chance 40 to 50% over the next 2 days. It could get a little higher for the second half of the weekend. We'll be watching that. We're going to see that rain chance building throughout the Caribbean. 40% chance tomorrow, U.S. and British Virgin Islands. 50% chance on Saturday. We work our way back through the Bahamas, watching Melissa that has pulled away at this point. Still very breezy. Of course, the high seas. Turks and Caicos, rain chance at 50%. These are the pockets, the Dominican Republic and Haiti, especially southern DR, and then back towards southern sections of Haiti, where in these downpours we could get an additional 50 millimeters of rain or higher, which just adds to the tragic flooding that has been ongoing, especially in southern sections of Haiti. Belize, rain chance on the low side. Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire on the low side, but it is going to start to bump up a touch as we work our way deeper into the weekend and next week as we get more rain building through the Caribbean. Guyana by Saturday, rain chance up to 50%, relatively low as of now. The next couple of days in Suriname, Cuba, about a 30% chance. If you have any information on Southeast Cuba as Melissa passed by, please leave it in the comment section. It'd be great to hear from you. Costa Rica and Panama, in this, you see the rain chance going back up. Watching those downpours, the flood potential around in parts of Nicaragua, especially southern sections. We work our way into Honduras, rain chance 40 to 50%, but as we work our way through the weekend, we're going to start to see it building, especially on Sunday. Guatemala, 30% chance now, 40% chance tomorrow. Same thing in El Salvador, especially closer to the water. Meanwhile, Mexico City, we're generally on the dry side and generally on the dry side as well. Back through the Yucatan Peninsula, 60% chance of rain the next 3 days. Northern Colombia, about a 50% chance in northern Venezuela. And all eyes on Bermuda for, again, tonight. It'll be a fast mover. This will move in with those strong winds. Hurricane warnings are up. It'll be that fast mover sliding by. So Melissa overall will be weakening. I mentioned in the short term, though, it did just strengthen a little bit, could strengthen a little bit just the next few hours. And then as it approaches Bermuda, we'll see the weakening trend. Not only that, and then it will lose its tropical characteristics, but it gets close to Bermuda. That's why we are in action mode. And then I mentioned what will happen with Canada, with really two systems moving in. Welcome rain for some of us. We've been historically dry this year, parts of the Atlantic region of Canada, but those strong winds are a concern, parts of the Atlantic region of Canada. We have that new tropical wave entering the Caribbean. It does look like we're really going to see a lot of rain building up second half of the weekend into early next week, and that's what I'll keep you posted on. If you're in Jamaica, parts of eastern Cuba, back through the Bahamas, over toward Haiti, the Dominican Republic, elsewhere, please let us know if you can in the comments section how you're doing. It is so good to hear from you. I'll put some information in the comments as well about outreach and all of that stuff. We are thinking of you nonstop. Please be safe.